Hello, I'm Shanti Garber.
I'm Gesine.
And welcome to
NVC Life Hacks.
This time we're taking a restorative rather than a punitive approach. So we're restoring a sense of trust, a sense of well-being. So when something happens which impacts the well-being, the safety of somebody in the community or the whole community, then we need some way of restoring that sense of trust, that sense of safety.
Oh, do you mean like sending the offender to jail?
Well, of course, that's an example of a punitive approach, which is the established norm in this society, that we do something, we punish the offender. So that's an example of a punitive approach. A restorative approach aims to restore a sense of community trust, a community sense of well-being, a sense of connection. Whereas a punitive approach seeks to establish the facts, apportion blame, and to mete out punishment to fit the crime. Secondly, a restorative approach asks who got hurt? Who got hurt? And how can we address that? How can we redress that sense of hurt? Whereas a punitive approach asks whose fault is it? So the focus in the punitive approach is on the offender. Who did it? Whose fault is it? And how can we punish them? Thirdly, a restorative approach seeks to understand the roots or the causes of conflict. Whereas a punitive approach tends to focus on the effects of conflict, tries to deal with the effects, the unpleasant, the unsatisfactory effects of conflict. You mentioned, so this person who got sent to jail, okay, for something that they did. So if we can understand the roots or the causes of why people do things, which lead to in the current situation, lead to them being sent to jail, then maybe we can find a way to ensure that that doesn't happen again. A restorative approach sees conflict as natural and, you could say, inevitable, whereas a punitive approach tends to see conflict as the result, as there's something wrong, as a result of somebody's wrongdoing. Violence as a way of dealing with conflict isn't inevitable in the same way. So if I can keep that clarity in my own mind, then I've got some space to work with it and to find non-violent ways to deal with conflict.
Yeah. When is it a conflict and when is it violent? Is it when the words come in, or is it when the feast is coming in, or what needs to be happen to call it conflict or violence?
I guess conflict is when there's kind of tension. There's some kind of tension based on differences of understanding, differences of temperament, differences of worldview, and so forth. So that's when there's some sort of tension. And I guess violence is when we use our power, whether it's physical or verbal or any other way, to teach that person a lesson, or to make them feel as much pain as we feel, or preferably more. So the fifth point is that a restorative approach sees conflict as contextual. That is, it arises in a particular community with particular attitudes or particular systems, particular expectations or ways of dealing with things. Whereas a punitive approach tends to see conflict as individual or occurring between individuals, and with some implication that somebody's doing something wrong. So it focuses on the wrongness or the wrongdoing of the people involved. So sixthly, a restorative approach embodies the principle of power with. So power with, using my access to resources in ways which acknowledge or take into account the needs of the people around me, the well-being of people around me. Whereas a punitive approach comes from a power over mentality. So I have the power to punish you. I've decided you've done something wrong, so I'm going to punish you.
But this is how our laws are working.
Absolutely. Well, our legal system is by and large takes this punitive approach, yeah. And we see the cost of that in many different ways, yeah.
But I guess there's also an aspect of protection.
Ah, yes. Now, there I can go along with that, yes. So in some cases, I'm very happy that some people are removed from society to protect themselves and also to protect the people around them. Yeah. So there, I think we have common ground with, with restorative and punitive approaches have common ground. And finally, a restorative approach embodies the principles of non-violence, of self-reflection, self-responsibility, and the importance of dialogue. Whereas a punitive approach establishes rules or laws, some sense of deserve, that the people who keep the rules or the laws deserve rewards, the people who don't deserve punishment, so some deserve thinking, and of course a system of surveillance, so whether it's police or CCTV cameras, and of course some kind of court mechanism or some kind of way of judging who's done the wrong and meting out the punishment, and of course the associated prison system or whatever other kind of punishment systems that we have.
If you would like to hear more, then
you can like our Facebook page, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can sign up, subscribe to our mail out for more tips, and of course you can join us at one of our events.